Hey everyone, welcome back to Learn English with Podcasts. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Emma. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. So, what are we talking about today?
Today's episode is going to be really interesting because we're talking about a feeling we all experience but rarely discuss openly: jealousy. So, Emma, let me ask you right away. Do you ever feel jealous sometimes?
Unfortunately, yes. It does happen to me.
You know, jealousy usually has a pretty bad reputation, but I don't think you should see it as something awful. It's simply part of being human.
I understand that, but honestly, every time I feel jealous, I immediately think, oh no, I must be a terrible person.
Well, it's a good thing we're talking about this today then. Maybe this conversation will help us and everyone listening deal with jealousy in a healthier way.
I hope so. I think it's going to be a really interesting talk, and who knows, maybe I'll change the way I see jealousy by the end.
Let's start with something that might surprise you. Jealousy can actually be a motivator for change.
A motivator? How so?
Imagine a world where humans never felt jealous. What do you think would happen?
Hmm, maybe people wouldn't try to improve themselves as much.
Exactly. If you never felt that little sting of jealousy, and by that, we mean that quick, sharp feeling of discomfort when you see someone having something you want, you might not notice areas in your life that you'd like to grow in. Jealousy can be like a compass pointing us towards something we desire or admire in others.
So you're saying it's not always bad. It's like a signal that tells us, hey, maybe I want that too, and I can work for it.
Yes. Think of it this way. When you see someone doing something amazing, maybe they're really successful at work or super fit, it can make you jealous. But that's also your mind telling you, this is something I value. Maybe I should take steps toward it too.
That makes sense. So jealousy can actually guide us?
Yes, it's like a little roadmap for personal development. When we feel jealous, it often highlights an area where we feel less confident or where we want to improve.
I've never thought of it that way before. Usually I just feel bad and try to push it away.
That's common. But instead of ignoring it, we can ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way? What does this tell me about my needs or goals? Then we can make a plan to change or improve that area of life.
So jealousy isn't really saying, you're bad. It's saying, there's room to grow.
Perfectly said, Emma. Jealousy is like a little note from your inner self pointing you toward growth.
But Jessica, sometimes jealousy feels overwhelming and even destructive. Like, it can make you angry or hurt relationships.
That's true. There's a negative side to jealousy when we let it control us. If we start comparing ourselves all the time or trying to bring others down instead of improving ourselves, that's when jealousy becomes harmful.
Yeah, I've seen friendships get ruined because of jealousy.
Exactly. The key is to pause and reflect before reacting. When you feel jealous, instead of acting out or feeling ashamed, acknowledge it as a normal human emotion. Here's a simple way to handle jealousy. Notice it. Say to yourself, I'm feeling jealous, and that's okay. Understand it. Ask, why do I feel this way? What area of my life does this touch? Plan a change. Create small, realistic steps to improve or reach a goal. Take action. Focus on your journey instead of comparing yourself to others. For example, imagine you feel jealous because your coworker received an award for their performance. Instead of thinking, I'll never be that good, you could ask yourself, what specific behaviors or actions made them stand out? Then look at how you usually approach similar tasks and think about how you can adjust your actions to reach that level too. Maybe they spend extra time preparing, communicate better in meetings, or take on more initiative. That jealousy shows you exactly where you can grow.
I love that.
And it also works in everyday life. Let's say someone you know buys a really cool gadget you've been dreaming about. Instead of sitting there, feeling jealous, you could plan ways to afford it too. Maybe take on a small freelance job, sell something you don't use anymore, or cut down on unnecessary spending for a while. That way, instead of resenting them, you're actively moving toward your own goal.
That sounds practical. So every time I feel jealous, instead of beating myself up, I can treat it as a message and actually do something about it.
Exactly. Think of jealousy as a little push toward becoming a better version of yourself.
Jessica, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. I honestly feel a bit lighter now. I'll definitely try using these tips instead of feeling guilty every time I'm jealous.
I'm so glad to hear that, Emma. And to our listeners, if this conversation helped you too, don't forget to subscribe, like this episode, and share your thoughts in the comments. Did you find it helpful? Do you see jealousy differently now? We'd love to know.
And hey, if you sometimes feel jealous because, for example, someone speaks English better than you, you're actually in the perfect place. By listening to podcasts like this one, you're already taking action to improve, and that's exactly how you grow.
You'll also find a list of today's useful words and phrases with definitions in the description, perfect for reviewing and expanding your vocabulary.
Thanks everyone for listening, and remember, jealousy doesn't make you bad. It just means you're human.
See you in the next episode of Learn English with Podcasts.
See you. Bye.